our Meet the Candidate Forum. We thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come out and share with us as we've gathered here tonight. And so we're looking forward to a good time. Of course, the ground rules will be laid in more detail by our moderator. But we know that if we do things in decency and in order, we will have a very, very productive night tonight. If not, we remind you, on either side of the stage is the Sandman. So that if need be, they will pay you a visit. But again, we just say thank you for coming out and sharing with us tonight to the candidate forum. So it is my esteemed honor to present the one who's no stranger to us, who shall serve as our moderator for tonight, one who is our branch secretary, the glue that helps hold it all together, one who is no stranger to most of us, if not all of us. So I do proudly present our secretary, moderator for the night, Ms. Dana Baird, who shall come.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending. We just have a few rules that we always set forth before we begin. We don't allow any heckling. It's no back and forth. This is not a debate. It's to meet the candidates. It's a time for them to express what they're running for, what they stand for, and we should allow them to do that. Also, for the candidates, please do not have side conversations when your counterparts are talking because it distracts everyone. With that being said, we are pressed for time, so we are going to allow Victoria Gums, who's running for judgeship, to speak first, then John Kennedy, and then we will have the candidates speak and introduce themselves. You're allowed 2 minutes for introduction. So first we'll start with Ms. Gums, and then we'll go right down to Mr. Kennedy.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Victoria Gums Moore, and I'm seeking the position of Family Court Judge. I am a Long Island native, having been born in Nassau County and raised in Suffolk County. I attended the Half Hollow Hill School District, graduated from St. John's University, and Toro Law Center. I've been a practicing attorney for almost 20 years, starting out in the Nassau County Supreme Court as a principal law clerk to the first African-American female Supreme Court judge, the Honorable Michelle M. Woodard. I then worked in Kings County as a principal law clerk to the Honorable Yvonne Lewis. And most recently, I served as the principal law clerk for the supervising judge in the family court, the Honorable Teresa Whalen. For the last 3 years, I served as a court attorney referee in the family court, where I handle custody, visitation, paternity, and domestic violence cases. I have been a public servant all my life. In addition to my career as an attorney, I worked for Assemblyman Robert Sweeney, the town of Babylon, when Rich Schaefer and Steve Bellone were supervisors, and for New York State Controller H. Carl McCall. So, needless to say, I've been around. I have worked on many campaigns, and this is my first opportunity to run and seek a public office. I feel that this job is not something that I'm looking for a paycheck for. It's my mission, it's my calling. I work very hard every single day to make sure that families are treated with dignity and respect. I understand that when people come to the family court, it's because their family is in crises, and I do my best to help them through that time of need. I'm asking that everyone here, I'm asking that everyone come out and vote for me, and I'll leave my literature on the chairs. Thank you.
I am sorry, I forgot to. I'm rushing now. Don't be mad at me. Mr. White has the time back there, and he will let you know when your time is up. 1 second, please. We have the town supervisor, Mr. Rupinachi. He will say a few words, and then he will pass the mic to Mr. Kennedy. Thank you. Supervisor Rupinachi.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's certainly great to be standing here, not sitting down there. So I don't want to confuse anyone. I'm not up for election, but just wanted to stop by because leaders here asked me to stop by and say hello. So just want to thank Reverend Jennings, the Executive Committee, the moderator, Dana Beard, and everyone that participates in the event. And there's a great turnout here to show you the important decisions that democracy brings us. So just want to wish the candidates best of luck. There's a lot of hard choices, ask them a lot of tough questions, and make sure you get out and vote. And you can start voting this year, October 26th. October 26th. See, I was quizzing them to make sure they knew. At the Dix Hills Fire Department, and we go right through November 5th at your regular polling place. So best of luck to all the candidates. And it's always great to be here to support such a great organization. Thank you for all you do. Enjoy the rest of the evening and program. Thank you.
2 minutes. Mr. White, your time.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to go ahead and introduce myself and to say hello. I do have another commitment. I'm going to go outside, see if I can dump it. It's important for me to be able to be here if there's questions that you have for me. My name is John Kennedy. I am your Suffolk County Comptroller. I have been for the last 5 years. Prior to that, I served in the Suffolk County Legislature for 10 years as the legislator for the 12th Legislative District. I am an attorney. I've been a practicing attorney for the last 22 years. I graduated from St. John's Law School, did it 4 years at night the hard way. I have an MBA from Delphi University with a concentration in capital budgeting, and I attended this building roughly about 39 years ago when it was a satellite actually for Delphi. And my bachelor's is from Stony Brook. I got it back in 1979 when a bridge to nowhere really was a bridge to nowhere. So the education I have, the experience in government that I have, and why am I running for county executive? Very simple, ladies and gentlemen. I love the job I do for comptroller right now, and you've elected me twice. I've saved you $56 million through vigorous audit, through refinancing of our existing pipeline debt, and through the consolidation with the Treasurer's Office. But the best I can ever do for you is save about 50 or 60%. Today, ladies and gentlemen, Suffolk County is $883 million in debt. Tom DiNapoli has us as the worst fiscally stressed county in the state of New York for the second year in a row. We have a 2020 proposed budget that at best has only $20 million underfunded, actually looks like somewhere between 60 to 70 million. Somebody needs to step in and confront what is actually a fiscal deluge, if you will. We are on the precipice, ladies and gentlemen. I have the skill, I have the talent, I'm willing to step up, and as a matter of fact, I'm doing it not only for my 4 children, but my 8 grandchildren.
Wow.
And I want them to be able to stay here and have the same quality of life. I was born here in Huntington Hospital 63 years ago. So I appreciate the opportunity. Please consider me on election day, and I'm going to try to get back.
Thanks so much. Okay. Now, thank you guys for being so patient. I really appreciate it. We were very short on time trying to wait for everyone. We'll start with the lovely Jillian Guthman. You have 2 minutes, and as you guys know, I am a stickler for time, so please keep to it. You can stay there. Yeah, you can stay there. What do you say?
Oh, yeah, but I'd like to stand up.
Okay.
But I won't go into your I can play by the rules. Good evening. My name is Jillian Guthman. I am the receiver of taxes for the town of Huntington, running for re-election. I am a lifelong Huntington resident. I love this town. I am excited about what I've done in the tax office. I was appointed in 2017, a month before the SALT tax, the biggest reform in taxes in the last 30 years. And we handled that tremendous change seamlessly. We worked hard, long hours, answering the questions of residents, making sure the lines moved. We did a phenomenal job, if I may say, to a big challenge. 2019, we had the federal government shutdown. In response to that, I partnered with New York State Senator Jim Gorin to be responsive to the federal workers that were impacted by that shutdown. In the office, I have gotten a higher interest rate for the monies on deposit so that their money is working for us. I've expedited the processing of tax payments by the utilization of increased scanning. I am serving as a resource in the office to the community. I'm doing one-on-one consultations, presentations, just did one in Northport today, on topics such as grieving your taxes, informational, available tax exemptions, financial fraud specifically targeted to seniors, and more. Written material, I'm providing that. This is a very important role. It's a top fiduciary role. It's not a clerical role. I'm an attorney of 24 years. I am a former assistant district attorney, former deputy town attorney, former director of human services for the town of Huntington, concurrently with being the town's EO officer and labor trainer. I am former village attorney for Hempstead, where I saved them $500,000 per year in restructuring their legal department. I am a fiscal watchdog. I am a hard worker. I'm renegotiating contracts. I am looking at different things to advance the office. It's a very important role, and it's not one to be taken lightly. I humbly ask for your support to continue serving you in this very important capacity. Thank you. I guess that's okay. So good evening. So my name is Stacy Colamussi, and I am also running for the Office of Receiver of Taxes. Some of my background, I'm currently the Deputy Town Clerk, and some of my earlier background is I worked in a accounting division of a financial institution, banking, and I also worked for the New York Telephone Company. So I currently hold 2 executive positions within the town of Huntington. I am one of the 2 deputies in the town clerk's office, and I am also the records administrator for the town of Huntington. So as the records administrator, I manage one of the largest and most vital operations in the town of Huntington. We are responsible for hundreds of thousands of documents that are generated from all departments of town that we manage, and that's through the records management program, and that includes records in the Receiver of Taxes office. These records have legal, fiscal, and historic value, and they are necessary for the continuation of the government of the town of Huntington, so it is an important asset for the town. As the deputy, 95% of my work is mandated by law, so we work under the authority of approximately 20 laws. The office itself is extremely diverse and extremely complex. We do a lot of research for everyone. Some of the things that we do, the town clerk is the keeper of all records for the town of Huntington. So we have to maintain all litigation records, everything to do with town board. I'm a town board deputy. All the issues that come before us, we issue a multitude of licenses. We issue birth certificates, death certificates, marriage records. So for all those things, we bring in a lot of revenue every single day. So that revenue comes in, things have to be reconciled, reconciliations take place on a daily basis, revenue comes in on a daily basis, deposits take place on a daily basis, just like in the receiver's office. I have been with the town for 34 years. I've been working for Joan and Raia, and I have the full support, I'm proud to say, for all of that time. I can manage records. I understand the processes. If I was the receiver of taxes, I would have tried to eliminate the long, long lines that I see. I work across the hall. I know for a fact that the capabilities in the office, the technology is not being utilized to its fullest capabilities, and the money sits for too long.
You ready, Mr. White? All right. I'm sticking to the script because, as you can tell, 2 minutes goes by in a flash. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be here, and I'd like to thank the NAACP for hosting this candidates forum. This is my 10th time standing in this room and addressing you. I am New York State Assemblyman Andrew Raia, and it has been an honor to serve as one of your voices in Albany for the past 17 years. I'm very proud of my many accomplishments over the years, but as much as I love love being one of your voices in Albany. You know, some people would argue that I've actually been studying and learning the intricacies of the town clerk's office for the past 38 years. If you know my mother, she's a teacher, and she's been teaching me well. My mother and current town clerk has shared much of her knowledge with me over the years. In fact, I can still remember sitting around the kitchen table helping her fill out a state archives grant application to help finance her award-winning archives when I was just in 10th grade. I'm now 51. As an assemblyman, I fought for a permanent tax cap to limit government tax increases, delivered millions of dollars in state aid to assist the town in numerous infrastructure, governmental, and economic development projects, supported new laws to increase local government transparency and efficiency. In the past 2 years alone, I have voted in favor of close to a dozen bills which would extend, improve, and increase funding for measures related to the minority and women-owned business enterprise programs. So I'm very proud of that as well. I've worked directly with the New York State Town Clerks Association, the New York State Funeral Directors Association, and the Secretary of State to help craft new laws that directly affect many aspects of the town clerk's office, increasing transparency and expediting services. As our next town clerk, should I be so lucky to get your support on election day, I'll utilize the experience I've gained learning and working alongside our current town clerk, Joan Raia, during her 38 years of dedicated service, and will continue to expand the many innovative and award-winning policies she has established over those years. Wow, I only got through half. We'll save that for the closing. Thank you.
So my Cummings representative, Elijah Cummings' wife said today that he worked until his last breath because he believed our democracy was the highest and best form of expression of our collective humanity, and that our nation's diversity was our promise, not our problem. I'm Simon Saks. I want to be the next town clerk of Huntington, and I think I have the qualifications, experience, and background to be your town clerk. My grandfather came to this country because my great uncle was killed in World War I, fighting in the American Army. He started with a clothing store. He was welcomed at the port by a group of people who threw him a party on the ship, and he thought it was about him, but it was actually Thanksgiving. And he always told that story at Thanksgiving time because he wanted us to learn what it means to be American. He worked his way up in the ranks, and he worked his way up through the Lower East Side. As his grandson, I became an adjudication officer. I became a citizenship. I did citizenship applications, over 5,000 of them. And I was trained by federal law enforcement to do document recognition and document identification. So I have the qualifications and the skills for this job. I have a lot of experience. You can look at my palm card and see I worked in the New York State Senate. I did the first online town hall for the New York State Senate, and I'm able to understand what the town clerk's office needs to move into the future. Among that is its applications process has to be digitized. There are over 52 entries on the town clerk's website that you can apply for the town. 13 or 14 of them are specifically related to the town clerk. Most of those applications, if they're not a New York State agency, are paper applications where you print out a piece of paper, you file it, and you mail it back in. I want to make those digital, and I want your experience to be about your customer experience. That's what I've done at the Suffolk County Water Authority with identity verification, and I want the experience of the resident to be seamless and connect with Town Hall. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. This is one of my favorite forums, and I'll tell you why. I've been your councilman for the past 8 years. My name is Eugene Cook, and I am proud of everything that I've done for the community. And I'll give you some of the examples. A number of years ago, I got cameras donated to Huntington Station, okay? And there were cameras up, and they go directly to the Yaphank Police Department. With that, 2 trailer-mounted camera systems that can be brought to any facility so we can see what's going on and making sure our community is safe. Just so you know, this coming Monday at 11 a.m., Jim Gordon is coming down and giving us a check for $180,000 for more cameras. All of you are invited down on Depot Road. And these are some of the things that I like doing. making sure the community is healthy, taken care of, and what I've done in the past with Reverend Artist, and I'm glad to see you, Reverend, good to see you here, Reverend Jennings and Reverend Washington, held community events to show people how to buy houses and how to take care of their credit and what to do. We've had 3 or 4 of those, I forget how many, but we've had a number of them, and they've worked very nicely. I am proud of who I am. I've put term limits in with Supervisor Lupinacci, and I will be the first person, I've said this to my kids, I want to come in, put something done, and get out in those term limits. So I tell my kids, say what you do and do what you say. I really love this town, I love this community, and I'm happy to be here tonight and answer any of your questions. Thank you so much, and enjoy the night.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joan Cergol. I'm your councilwoman, and I would love you to return me to that seat in November. And I'll tell you why. I bring to this job 35 years of collective private sector and public sector experience. And there's a lot of diversity in my background. I'm a Huntington girl. I graduated from Huntington High School in 1979. I went on to college to study broadcast journalism and public relations. I couldn't decide which I wanted to do. I graduated, I went into the New York City agency sector, practiced my craft, decided I wanted to bring that back home. I have worked as in-house agency director for a large city school district, a law firm. I started my own business. I have authored 2 books. I've been a college professor. I'm a mother. I'm a wife of 33 years. We've launched 2 great, wonderful daughters who work in the entertainment field. And I entered government in 2002 to join then Supervisor Petrone in advancing his agenda for revitalization, affordable housing, and economic development in general, utilizing the skills that I have acquired through my private sector career, namely writing, to bring in over $25 million in grants to help fund capital improvement projects and to keep costs down. So every day I'm reaching into those tools to solve problems for the residents, which is really why I'm here. I'm offering all of this at this point in my life because I have valued my Huntington experience. My parents are immigrants, I'm first generation, and I feel very blessed to have had the opportunities I have in my life, and this is my time and my chance to give back. In my work in town government, I've delved into Huntington Station revitalization. Much of what you see here are the seeds that I helped to plant to start this growth. I've administered over affordable housing. I understand the issues of attaining affordable housing for youth, for seniors, for families. I understand the challenges that we face. There hasn't been one problem in this town that I haven't in some way, shape, or form worked on to try to solve. I am an insatiable problem solver, tinkerer. I like to fix things. And there's lots to do in our town. We have more work to do. I'm proud of what we've accomplished, but I would like to continue, and I would like to ask for your support in November so I can do just that. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. I'm Kathleen Cleary. I was here last year when I ran for a state senate, and while I was not successful in that run against Senator Flanagan, I did beat him in Huntington, so I want to thank you all for who voted for me for last year. So I've lived on Long Island my entire life. I went to school at Adelphi. My husband and I have lived in East Northport for 21 years, where we're raising our 15-year-old daughter. My background is as a contract manager, and if you don't know what that is, it's a person who has to come in and usually fix projects that are underperforming. I've managed and negotiated budgets and contracts at the state level, the federal government, Department of Defense level, and the local level. Also, many major corporate contracts. I work for financial firms such as Citigroup, Merrill Lynch, and Accenture, which is a consulting company. And I've also worked at 2 different Department of Defense contractors here on Long Island. The reason I give you that background is my experience has been to go in and fix contracts, to talk to people who are not being able to get along, where we have contentious relationships. I was being sent in there to solve them. very good at getting people on the same page and getting them to agree to their issues. And I use the carrot or stick approach, so it's either way. You can either have somebody, I usually try to be good and get everyone involved, but I want you to know that I'm not a pushover, and I don't let people boss me around. I also have worked as a horticulturist for state parks for 2 years. I've always been involved in doing volunteer work with Master Gardeners, with Cornell Cooperative, and I spent some time going back to school at SUNY Farmingdale. I worked as a horticulturist for the state parks for 2 years. I was responsible for managing Department of Environmental Conservation grants, managing arborists, and dealing with some issues that we had over due to southern pine beetle. I've also redesigned gardens. Oh, sorry. Well, anyway, I hope you vote for me in November. Thank you.
How are you? My name is Audrey Sorrentino. Those of you who don't know me, I grew up in Huntington. I started out on New York Avenue at 13 years old pumping gas for a gentleman named Rufus Harris. I was lucky enough to be there my whole life, got to know him. He was one of my best friends. I am still best friends with his sons, his daughters. The mom, she's still alive, God rest her, she's great. I was able to open up my own business with my brother right up the street from where we grew up at the gas station. We've been there since '85. My brother and I decided it was time for me to run for office. I asked my brother to take a 2-year leave of absence. I became a director of general service, which I still am, and I run that right now, and I got to know everything that goes on inside, and it's a great place. There's great people that work there, and I was able to basically fix things that hadn't been fixed in a long time. My mom and dad have a shoe repair shop on New York Avenue. Some of you know them. My father's on Union Place, moved there in 1977. He still goes there every day. Again, I want to run for town board because I know I can do the job. I'm here. I'm one of us. I'm not what you're accustomed to. I'm a lot different, but I can get the job done. I know I can get the job done, and I'm here. I always answer my phone. I know why I want this, because I want to serve people. That's why I run people over politics. It's not about politics, it's about people. That's what I stand for. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Deegan. I know you're not supposed to do this typically, but I kind of agree with my opponent. I'm a resident of the community. I've been here my whole entire life, and I feel that the community best be represented with a member ourselves actually speaking on the board. My expertise is nothing more than really being a resident, being an outspoken community member, being an advocate, an activist. I apologize. I don't like that word very much because it has negative connotations to it. But whenever a person stands up for their community and does what other people don't find popular, they often become ridiculed. So standing up here is probably one of the most uncomfortable experiences I've ever had in my life. I'm used to standing there with you and challenging these people. I'm not facing you, I'm used to having you at my back and feeling that warmth, knowing that it's the group of us going against the powers that be. So I apologize for putting the suit on and being one of those powers that be. And I don't want to waste your time, but thank you very much. I'm running for town board, I'm on the Libertarian line, and that is the only line I have. Thank you.
So, good evening, everybody. By way of introduction, my name is Tom Donnelly, and I represented you in the 17th Legislative District, which comprises parts of the town of Babylon as well as the town of Huntington. Prior to that, I served as a councilman in the town of Babylon, also a member of the town planning board. I've been a volunteer firefighter for 35 years, hold the rank of captain in the Deer Park Fire Department, also served as fire commissioner. I was also a travel soccer coach in the Deer Park community. As a career, I served 30 years in the city of New York. I retired as a decorated lieutenant in 2017 when I was elected to the Suffolk County Legislator, and I currently serve as your full-time legislator in the Suffolk County Legislature. I look forward to your questions, and I hope that I can have your support this coming election day. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I want to thank the NAACP for having us, and it's great to see faces I haven't seen in a while. I'm Susan Berland. I represent the 16th Legislative District, which is in parts of 3 towns, parts of Huntington, parts of Babylon, and parts of Islip. I was elected a year and a half ago, and prior to that, I was on the Huntington Town Board for 16 years. I love public service, and I love helping our constituents, you know, at the time or doing the global issues that we do in the county. I started out as a volunteer for House Beautiful Civic Association and rose to the rank of being vice president. So when I first ran back in 2001, I was coming at it from the eyes of a civic leader. And I wanted to make the town better and, you know, make it more attentive to the residents. And I remember the first time I ran, Grant, my youngest, was 4, wrapped around my thigh. Now he's 22, and I'm wrapped around him, so, so I hope he doesn't leave. But, I think it's really important that we do everything we can to keep our young people here and keep our families together. I really ask you to do your homework. There's a lot of us up here. Look at us online, look at us on our websites, look what we stand for, look what we've done. I think my years of public service will speak for themselves when you do that research. And for all of you to be here, it just shows how much you care about our town, how much you care about our county. I can't thank you enough for being here. I'm so looking forward to answering your questions, and I hope to have your support on every day of early voting and on Election Day. Thanks so much.
Hi, good evening, everybody, and I want to thank the NAACP for hosting this tonight and welcoming all of us. My name's Hector Gavilla, and I'm looking to be the next legislator in the 16th District. Now, I was here 2 years ago, and I did run, and unfortunately had an unsuccessful run, but it was a great experience. And the good news is, I never left. What was wonderful was that right after the election, I was being approached by individuals and civics groups, and people telling me that we need help with this problem that we have with the town, or this other issue with the county. And I was there, I was available to meet with people and use my experience as a real estate broker, but more importantly, as a friend and as a public advocate. Now, starting in January, what I did was, I went with a clipboard, and I have visited for the past 10 months every single street in every neighborhood throughout this district, which does include Brentwood, Bayshore, and Deer Park, in addition to Dix Hills and Comac and Melville. And with that clipboard, the questions I asked the people were, are you happy with government? Are there any issues that I can help you with? And I'm glad to say that I was able to help quite a few people. And the most recent area where I was able to help was that in Brentwood, in this particular shopping center, they were having a problem with men who were sleeping in the parking lot 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, for the past 10 years. And they came to me, and I said, why do you come to me? And they said, well, we've gone to our legislators, we've gone to our government leaders, and no one wants to help us. And I have a big problem because I don't know how to say no. And I actually said, I will help you. And together we worked, and we met with the police, and we met with the business owners, and we were able to get an affidavit that said that if anybody sees somebody loitering around the dumpsters, that the police would come and get them, have them removed. And the next day, they were removed, and the people were very happy. And in addition to that, we got a group of people to go in there and clean up the area. The place looks brand new. And just 3 days ago, I actually visited the business owners in the shopping center, and each one had a big smile and was very happy to meet me. And I explained to them what we did and what we continue to do. And the latest news is that we contacted the town, and for the first time in 10 years, we're going to be fixing the lights on the streets. Because for many years, they felt like the government was failing us. And that's what I learned through my experience of going door to door. I have met over thousands of people. I lost track. But what I discovered was our government is failing us. We have a Suffolk County budget that is over $3 billion. Okay, thank you, and I welcome your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Hector. Thank you, Reverend Jennings and Dana and the entire organization for having us out tonight. My name is Garrett Chelius. I'm honored to be here tonight. I was born in Huntington Hospital. Grew up my backyard on Washington Elementary School from Huntington Station. Rode my bike to Community Market and Conti's Burger Haven. And my first job was washing dishes at Sam's Restaurant on Broadway in Greenlawn. And used to ride my bike there, which kids don't do that anymore. But I'm running because I have 3 kids, and I've had a wonderful 25-year career in the staffing and banking industry, and I've had a tremendous life in the town. The town's been great to me, and I'm terrified that my kids are not going to be able to have the same experiences that I've had because of the fiscal mismanagement of our county. Comptroller Kennedy has opened my eyes to some of the problems in the county, and we've shared a lot of texts and a lot of phone calls, and this problem's really, really dire for all of us. And if we don't take it seriously and get some fiscally responsible people calling the shots, we're all going to be in a lot of trouble because all of our kids are going to leave, and eventually we're going to have to leave. But it's not too late. We have some good ideas, and we can take care of things, and we can turn this around because this is a great town, and this is a great country, a great county. Not a bad country either, but a great county. And I'm looking forward to hopefully earning your respect and earning your vote next month. Thanks so much for having me.
Jillian has a few words to say on behalf of Doc Spencer because he's unable to be here tonight.
Thank you, Dana. I spoke to Dr. Spencer this afternoon from his vacation destination. He had a long scheduled vacation with his wife, which precluded him from being able to be here today, but he wanted to clearly convey his commitment to the community and let you know that he is here and responsive to each of you, and apologizes for his absence this evening.
Thank you.
If I may, this time, let me also just quickly acknowledge Town Clerk Joanne Raia.
Yes.
But definitely this time, we just want to take a pause just to acknowledge one of our members who, if the truth be told, is not supposed to be here. But we say thanks be to our God who's still in the healing business. So I'm going to ask that the Executive Committee and all of the members of the Huntington Branch and NAACP and all who so desire, let us stand at this time and welcome the Reverend Jeriartis, who is good to see him. He is indeed a miracle. A witness that God is true to his word. He is our newly elected second vice president, and as many of you know, he's been out for a while sick, but it did my heart joy to see him walk through the door. And so we just want to acknowledge him tonight and to let him know that we continue to be in prayer for him. God bless you, brother. Amen.
Thank you so much. Again, I thank you all for your patience. We had a little bit of a stumble today, but we are getting back on track. Let me just say that we are all human here. We all have our own political beliefs. Everyone on this stage has their own political beliefs. When you come to an NAACP, meet the candidates, the person that's conducting the moderator, they don't have a political party. They are representing the organization. So we carry ourselves just that way. We don't stack questions, and we ask questions that the audience gives to us. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knows that, so we can be fair to everybody. With that being said, we will start with the first question for our town council. How would you address the loitering situation in Huntington Station? We can start with you can start. And just work your way down.
Yes, so I'm very proud of what I've done in getting. I met a fellow that his business was taking security for Israel, okay, border security. He did it with cameras. He lived in Huntington, so I went out, we spoke, and he donated all the cameras that I told you that are up in the station. and the trailers. They go directly to Yaphank, to the police department. This was huge because it was hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment and software and the installation. With that, we had some community leaders that owned property that donated their property for that. And the best part of it was that there was no tax dollars for this at all. It was all donated. And that's what I try to do, is make sure that we fiscally get these things done. It's worked out very well. It's at the police department. And like I said, Senator Gorman is coming down with an additional $180,000 on Monday for more cameras. This is great. We need the security, and this is what I like to do for Huntington, and get you know, we have to be safe in what we do and have our children safe. Thank you.
So loitering is not against the law, as we know. It's perfectly legal to stand on a sidewalk in a right-of-way. So what do we do about it? We have to, once again, go into the toolbox to see how we fix this. We can do this through our partnerships in the community. We have wonderful not-for-profit organizations. We have to identify the core issues of why are people loitering, as well as why is they're homeless. There's a different reason for every person, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution to get people off the street and get people safe into homes and shelters where they belong, particularly during the winter. We have a resource center in Huntington Station. It's there because the town wanted to bring government into the community and help the community where the community needs help. We need to re-energize the resource center. We need to let people know, using our army of fantastic community partners, legislatively, not-for-profit, civics, the whole gamut of them. We need to reorganize the Huntington Leadership Council that is no longer meeting. These are the eyes and ears of the community that give us the data that we need to get into people's worlds and find out what's going on so that we can come up with a separate prescription to help each and every person. And that is something that I'm very excited about pursuing in 2020, should you be so kind to let me do that. Thank you.
I appreciate the use of cameras and making our residents feel safe, and also being able to have business owners having not their business impeded by people loitering. But as Joan said, you know, people are allowed to be standing on sidewalks, but we also need to be working together as a community to find out why we're having this issue. And we need the people that are working here with these great community activists that we have understand what's happening on the ground level, but they need to be able to be partnering with the town. The town has resources that can be used to help people, to help the business owners who want to maybe, you know, move someone out of their way, or have the, you know, not have their customers feel upset. But then we also have to find out, why do we have loiterers? We can't just assume that everyone that is there for a bad reason. We have to find out why, and then we have to find the services and work together with the community activists and the town government in resolving this issue. And I hope that you elect me, and I will work on that. Thank you.
I think that if we can get together with the county and the state and all work together and obviously go out and talk to these people, with community activists as well, I have no trouble. I want to be involved with that. I have been involved with that already with the community. My fire department, we help out when there's someone in need of that. I am a fire commissioner. We get into that as well. When people are in need of a service like that, they're in trouble, we go, we talk to them. My guys, I'm not a fireman, I'm a fire commissioner. But what I think needs to be done is that we need to get together with the county and the state, like I said before, and work this together and see what the problem is. And instead of trying to chase them, maybe help them out. Thank you.
I guess it's up to me to say this. We don't really have a problem with loitering in town. There's been arguments about a day labor situation. That's pretty much what the crux of this is.
Can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I'll repeat that. I apologize if I take 5 seconds back. I was saying that we don't really, loitering is an issue, but as Mrs. Cergol said, we don't have a loitering code except for Washington Drive and most of our cemeteries. The real argument that's been going on that nobody's really pointing out has been a day labor situation. Years ago, we had a day laborer site. there's arguments whether it worked, whether it failed. The point is we have a re-emerging day labor situation. In my opinion, most of these people come to this country looking for a better way of life, similar to the way most immigrants did to come to the country. But there's the argument over legality. So day laboring situations has created this loitering situation where people that aren't picked up right away tend to hang around afterwards. Within any element, you have, lack of a better expression, good apples, bad apples. We definitely need to figure out some kind of resource as a community to address the problems within our town. Now, if that means overextending federal and national regulations, living within a sanctuary state as opposed to do we build a wall? That's what we have to face as Huntingtonians, if you will. We don't get the luxury of figuring out what the federal government is going to do in 5, 10 years of the next administration. People have suggested applying resources to a day laborer site. We have enough organizations out there, charities. I went to school down the road at St. Anthony's. Charity is a big part in service to community. I really believe that as a community we can find this answer, very simply. I apologize for not having a more direct answer to this, but this is probably one of the biggest issues that's come up over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That there was no closure to. Just increased police presence, everybody disappeared. I don't think they left. I don't think there was any resource going there. I spoke to the outreach director of St. Hugh. There's a possibility to do something here and set a precedent that's best for everybody, and I think that's what we should explore.
Thank you. The next question is for the county legislator. Can you support an initiative to get rid of flavored e-cigarettes in our community? If so, how do you plan on doing it? We'll start with Mr. Donnelly and then work our way down.
Yes, so this is kind of like the new public health crisis along with the opioid crisis. And quite frankly, we've been following Legislator Spence's lead on it. So we have several bills pending, particularly on the flavored e-cigarettes that we're researching right now. But the truth of the matter is that the vaping is very similar to tobacco and the scourge of what tobacco does to so many people. So yes, the answer, the simple answer is yes, that the legislature is very, very active in trying to prohibit certain flavored vapings countywide.
The short answer is absolutely yes. As Legislator Donnelly said, we've been working on various drafts of legislation with Dr. Spencer. And if you read in the newspapers now, the young kids who they think it's okay to vape. So when you used to have one cigarette, maybe you had 3 or 4 cigarettes in a day, they're constantly vaping and constantly doing it because they don't understand the repercussions and the lung diseases that are showing up in young kids. It's a terrible scourge on all of us, and we have to do whatever we can to limit it, to stop the sale of anything. Especially what they're doing is they're advertising to kids, you know, because when you have like bubblegum flavor, that's not appealing to, you know, most adults. That's looking for a new audience to get these young kids hooked on this. And the way they have them these days, I mean, there are some of them where you can sit in a classroom and be vaping it, and you're not even going to have smoke. So you're doing it, and your teacher doesn't even know that it's happening. So we absolutely have to join together. We have to, you know, forget these special interests that represent the tobacco company, that represent these vaping companies, and we just have to ban it altogether in Suffolk County.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to echo what the 2 people to the left had just said. As a father of a 19-year-old and 18-year-old, I am very concerned about vaping. Because, you know, any of you who are also parents of teenagers know that they go to these parties and, you know, it would be foolish for us to think that this is not going on right now. So also from what I've read and what I've seen in the news, there are serious lung issues that are associated with this. So it's a health issue as well. So it's something that I definitely would fully support a ban of selling these products, especially to the youth. So I think that's something that everybody pretty much is on board with, because, you know, it's ironic that, you know, we kind of made smoking somewhat illegal. You know, it's very difficult, and now we, you know, have this other product that people have this false sense that it's safe, but of course we're finding out that it's a very dangerous product. Thank you.
I wanted to, it's a shame actually that Doc Spencer's not here. One of the greatest things about this campaign for me has been establishing a friendship with Doc Spencer, who's done a great job with the e-cigarette ban, because I have 3 kids, 16, 15, and 13, and the vaping hits really close to home for me. My 15-year-old doesn't go out to parties, and I ask him, how come you don't go out with your friends? And he goes, Dad, all they want to do is vape. And he's like, I want to play football, I don't want to vape. And I'm like, all right, good. And I speak to the guys down at the coastal station, Ibrahim, Naive, down by the hospital, and I ask them, how does the vaping affect your business? And they said that the thing with the vaping is the kids 2 years ago who were coming in getting the flavored e-cigarettes, now they're getting the Dutch Master cigars and they're rolling blunts. So the vaping is clearly a gateway into the next step of whatever is going to be a downward spiral. So anything we can do to prevent that at an early age starts with education at the home level. Parents have to be more involved. Don't let the schools teach your kids. Teach them yourself. So I'm behind that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question is directed for Mr. Kennedy. It is a long question, so I just want you to be prepared. Sorry, got it taken. Suffolk County Executive Bellone has presented his 2020 operating budget to the legislator. Since taking office, his budget has required county workers to continuously do more with less. DSS caseloads are high. Department of Health has fewer food public health sanctuaries, so fewer inspections and infectious disease follow-ups are being done. How much longer are employees going to have to do more with less? And why should residents accept this as a policy when they are getting fewer and less reliable services? We'll give him 3 minutes because Mr. Bellone is not here, so we'll allow him the 3 minutes.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much. And so I think it really gets right at the heart of and the essence of some of what I've tried to put forward in my campaign. I came into county government 33 years ago. I went to work for then, now, Judge Cohallen, and I've worked with him for 6 county executives. And the irony is that today, our county governmental structure, departmental structure, is disappointingly similar to when I first came in. As a matter of fact, the only consolidation we've had is with Treasurer and myself, where we've effectuated $1 million savings. Our county employees do a great job. They work very hard. And as a matter of fact, at the line level, they are woefully understaffed. My sense here is that we have an upper level of government, and I've seen it when I get into some of the departments for audit purposes, that candidly, we're top heavy. We have too much management and not enough folks, if you will, boots on the ground. What I would do when I get elected is each department will wind up being turned upside down and we'll rebuild it from the bottom up as far as performance and function for delivery of service for each and every one of you. Be it working in a DSS center, be it accessing our senior citizen services, be it in our veteran services, be it in wastewater permitting, or any of the other things where you, the citizens, interact with us. Candidly, you don't need to have 10 back-end individuals doing payroll, HR, or one of them. It's up to us on the management side to integrate that and consolidate it and make it be more efficient so that ultimately you wind up getting the services. I absolutely concur that we do not have enough folks there. We do not have the luxury to grow the 10,000 plus we have, but we sure can repurpose it, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what I would bring as far as the answer to how we get at helping our rank and file line folks with delivery of a service. Okay?
This question is for the receiver of taxes. We have seen a decrease in lines and an increase in return on taxes collected. How will you continue the improvements we have seen over the last year? Because, Jillian, you're already there. We'll let Ms. Colamussi go first, and then you can tell us how you continue to do it. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Stacy, you can go first.
Stop taking our microphone. Don't be selfish.
Thank you. Well, I mentioned that I was a deputy in the town clerk's office. I work right across the hall from the receiver of taxes, and I haven't seen a decrease in the lines at all. As a matter of fact, the lines are out the door and into the lobby and out of the building. So one of the things that I think needs to be done, payment, I've had many people complain to me that checks are sitting 6, 7, 8 days, sometimes weeks before they're being processed. I think that I've been told that there is a way to utilize the technology in the office. I mentioned it before, to get these payments processed faster, move the lines along a little bit better. So that's been my experience, and that's what I would do if I was elected as the receiver of taxes.
First, I will recognize that the lines are moving and the payments are being processed in an expedited fashion. But we can always improve. And some of the things that I am continuing to work on is making that process even more efficient. The biggest challenge when you come to pay your taxes in town hall is actually the parking and getting into the building. Those are the two issues. And we really have the benefit of a wonderful public safety department in Huntington, and they're doing what they can to keep us safe, and that takes a little bit of extra time. But I want to work with our public safety department to see if we can maybe put a third person there so that we don't have an accumulation down the vestibule of people. Because once they get into the building, the processing is quick. The other inside tip I will give you is if you want to avoid lines paying your taxes, don't come very, very early to beat all the other people. Because we start processing payments at 9 o'clock, and if you come 8:30 or 8 o'clock to avoid the line at 9, you will wait, a bit of time. But just about any other time you're going to be in and out. So I'm going to work with other departments to expedite it. We're continuing to evolve and improve, but we're in good shape.
Thank you so much. Okay, this is for all the candidates across the board. And we'll start with Mr. Kennedy because unfortunately he's a little bit out of place. And that's not his fault. It's not his fault at all. It's just something that happened. So we'll just go down. We'll just go down the line. How do you plan to increase the number of Blacks and Latino individuals in your office if elected? So just go down.
Outstanding. Thank you. And I'm glad that I had this question brought to me, because I can say to you that my office, and we have 105 staff in Comptroller's office, today has much more diversity in it than when I first took office. I'm embarrassed to say that when I first came in, for all intent and purposes, we were completely Caucasian. And as a matter of fact, middle to upper age, and we didn't have the range that I had looked at and wanted to try to see. So what I did with the Comptroller's office is something that I had always done in my legislative office. I put an internship, an aggressive internship program into place, and right away contacted with St. Joseph's, Hofstra, the accounting program at Farmingdale, and actually started to even work down into the high schools. And I'm proud to tell you today that I have been able to expand my audit staff by 40%. But more importantly, I've been able to increase tremendously the diversity that I have. Young girl from Peru, as a matter of fact. An older woman who came back into, Karen Francis, who came back into public service after having been in a private accounting and then going out to raise her children. I have a Muslim woman. As a matter of fact, she's a sweetheart, and she just got her CPA. And she came to us having been an intern with Phil Ramos, and had not really had much in the way of actual work setting auditing experience. But we worked with her, we extended her probation period, and as a matter of fact, she's turned out to be a dynamite auditor. So the way to increase diversity and opportunity for any person is basically to be aggressive, to go out and solicit.
That's perfect. Thank you. Diversity is one of the things that makes Huntington so rich. And when we look at the question of diversity in employment, particularly with my perspective as an EEO officer for the town of Huntington, as an attorney, understanding the mandates, the constitutional expectations that we all have to have fair and equitable terms of employment, access to employment in that fashion, I'm committed to that. And the reality is that when we are true and honest and have equal access to employment opportunities, diversity will follow. There is a plethora of people of diverse backgrounds, African Americans, Latino people, that are qualified, eminently qualified for positions that are available. We just can't go to the same resource of people to retrieve applicants. So we need to have a broader net. And I'm proud, during my short tenure in the tax office, I have been able to hire diverse people in our office for our seasonal collection.
Well, I would never argue with anything that the receiver has to say, though all of that makes perfect sense. We are bound in the town of Huntington by the civil service. I'm sorry. We're bound by some civil service constraints in hiring. We have to hire off of lists. In the town clerk's office, we have specifically requested Spanish-speaking clerk typist lists. We have we actually just hired our second Spanish-speaking clerk typist in our office. I would do the same if I was elected as the receiver of taxes. I have a firm belief in hiring anyone who is qualified to do the job. There's a great opportunity in the receiver of taxes office to not have to work off of a civil service list because there's a seasonal help that is available. So I would cast my net in that direction as well, and more than happy, anyone that suggested to me would be more than happy to meet with them, and if they're qualified, to hire them. No problem.
Ready, Mr. White? Okay. As I mentioned earlier, in the past 2 years alone, I've voted in favor of close to a dozen bills which would extend, improve, and increase funding for measures relating to MWBEs. That being said, as Stacy had mentioned before, most of the positions in the town clerk's office are civil service. That being said, if I'm elected town clerk, I will reach out to organizations like the NAACP and possibly formulate workshops in which we can help people from the community train and study for civil service examinations so they can score very high and make it up the list. Thank you.
I'll return back to the quote about Representative Cummings, that diversity is our promise, it's not our problem. I went to CUNY Law School, the only African-American dean in the country, the only law school that had faculty that were all majority women. And I think that my primary implementation in taking office will be to assess inclusiveness and to see that whether or not the office is as inclusive as possible. I was on the accreditation committee for CUNY Law School. The year before I was there, we failed the accreditation process. It turned out that the people who were evaluating our process were all basically white male deans from law schools. We objected to that. We realized that the diversity in the decision making had to be diverse, and when that happened, the law school got accredited. I understand that. I've learned those lessons from being at CUNY Law School, and I will bring that to the town clerk's office. Thank
you. Well, I think it's quite an easy question to answer. You ask, okay? And so I reached out to Reverend Artist a few years back and asked, do you know any young people that would like a job? I'm proud to say that I've hired a number of minority interns, and I have a policy in my office that we will hire an intern once, okay? Because I want to give as many young people the opportunity to work there. And I'm very proud of that. The idea is to ask. So when I sat down with Tim Sini, who was the police commissioner at the time, I asked him, I said, can you put more minorities on the police force? And he said he was going to look at it. I believe the woman that's running the police department now is looking at doing that. You have to ask. Thank you.
So I'll concur with my colleagues that it's a challenge when you're talking about civil service positions, but we don't have all civil service. We have exempt positions that are available in government. And first and foremost, we need to cast a much wider net and leave it out there for longer time to be able to bring in as many people to job postings as is possible. As for me personally, one of the first things that I did when I began earlier this year was to reach out to a community leader in the Haitian community to ask for a recommendation to replace the outgoing Emerson Boozer on the Open Space Committee. And a wonderful gentleman and professional named Bedell Saget was directed to me, and I looked at his resume, and I just could not believe how lucky the town could possibly be to tap him, and he's been a tremendous asset. During the summer, we do have opportunities to hire seasonal young people. I hired a wonderful volunteer from the Huntington Opportunity Resource Center, Latina, who helped me delve into the community and try to unpack some of the issues there and be able to address them. Furthermore, I started a boot camp in early part of this year to bring in young people from the community who needed jobs. Often the people who need the jobs the most don't have access to them because they don't know people in government, they don't have the connections. So the idea was to create those connections. I brought in all of the department heads into the Tri-CYA and also to St. Hugh's, who interviewed them, and about half of them did get jobs through my program. Thank you.
Our town government is not reflective of our town's diversity, and that really needs to change. We would be stronger if our town government was more reflective of the makeup of our town, and that is something that I will work on when I'm elected to your town government. We are stronger when we have a diverse community and reflective, our government is reflective of all areas and individuals in our town. Thank you.
Well, I was lucky enough that I got Director of General Service, and I was able to, let's say, reach out to the community, not knowing anybody that really worked in this department. I got to meet a lot of people that worked in this department. I got to promote a lot of people that deserved the promotion from the community. I'm pretty much as diverse as it's ever going to be. I believe the person, when they come in and talk to me about getting a job, it's not about political affiliation. It's about who can do the job and who can do it right. It doesn't matter to me. So that's what I bring to the table. Thank you.
This isn't just a question for me, because this is personal. I'm adopted. I don't know roots. I've never adhered to nationality. I mean this.
Louder.
Sorry about not putting the mic to my face. When I look at this town, I look at a 400-year history of forms of segregation and prejudice. I've seen the census data that has shown the black population basically dismantled in the past 20 years. It's shrunk. During that same time, the Hispanic community has risen, yet we don't see any place at the table for them as well. I look around this room and I see certain representatives in this room that actually are town employees that are of color, and they're phenomenal at it. And I think they should literally deserve more credit for the job that they've been doing and not be viewed as, I'll say the word, as a token. These people earned their position. Jillian here, got Ron over here. There are several people in this room that have transcended color or race. When I look at the town, I want to know how we can incorporate communities again, bring back that sense of family. Race, color, creed. I grew up in Green Lawn. I used to say I grew up on the other side of tracks. A friend explained, no, you grew up on the tracks. So this is a very weird question for me. Okay, I grew up, and I still live in a neighborhood that is completely mixed. Okay, there are Muslims, there are Chinese people, there are every ethnicity in this country lives in my neighborhood. So I'd like to open up the door to everybody, to be honest with you.
So, thank you. One of the great things about my own personal career is I had great mentors, and part of having great mentors is giving me the opportunity to be a mentor. So in the short tenure that I've been at the legislature, we've been working with our young people, particularly in the South Huntington School District. We have 3 programs I just want to highlight very quickly. One is the PAGE program, which teaches young boys and girls in high school what government is. Do you want to look for a career in government? The other is our summer internship program, which you heard some of the town officials reference. So we bring many interns in, many are minorities, to learn again what government is all about. They get a summer paycheck, and besides the paycheck, they get valuable experience, and it's something to put on their resume as well. And then they get recommendation letters from elected officials, government leaders, that it's all part of their growing process. And then the last program that we have is the Distinguished Youth Award, which I'm really proud of. We have 17 kids from the South Huntington School District who completed that, and all of them are going on to a career in government. Thank you.
That's all right, I can take up from where that was, because the 16th has Distinguished Youth Award kids also, who are from all the high schools in the 16th district, and they're a great group. And the county also has programs for summer, where you can put kids in all different departments in the county, and then they give them awards at the end, like, you know, most improved and happiest worker. And you sit there, and there were 91 kids from all over Suffolk County. There were 12 from the 16th district, all races, creeds, and colors, who got awards, and it was just such a wonderful thing. In the 16th, we have a large Spanish-speaking population, and one of my staff is fluent in Spanish, which I thought was something that was very important to be able to relate to the Spanish community, because my Spanish is, you know, poquito. Also, I voted for the RISE Act. The RISE Act says that employers in Suffolk County can no longer ask what your salary was before when you applied to the job, which really helps women, because when women go, if they've taken time off, you know, raising their children, and then they go back, their salary is significantly different. I'll explain it later. But I voted for Jillian on the town board, so I'm very proud of that.
Well, I am the proud son of 2 Cuban-Americans, Cubans who immigrated here from Cuba, of course. So I'm a first-generation Cuban-American. So if diversity is important, then elect me, because that'll add another Latino to the legislature. But, okay, so in more seriousness though, in my walking, and I really have walked all over in the Spanish communities, every community throughout the district, I've met people and they seriously felt underrepresented. And what I believe, which would be great, is with many of the people that I met, you know, maybe there's some opportunities to offer them jobs, because with my survey, I also collected hundreds of emails and phone numbers and made many new friends and promised them that it would help them in making their communities better. So I think it would be really great to offer them jobs in the legislature, whether they work directly for me or some of the other legislators, because then they could also help us in knowing what their individual communities need. Thank you.
I come from a background of staffing. So in the last 15 years, I've hired and interviewed hundreds of people, if not thousands of people. And every person I ever hired had one thing in common. They were a good person. The best companies in America have realized that you don't get creative ideas, you don't get great organizations if everybody looks the same and everybody sounds the same and everybody thinks the same. They've taken it to the point where they've created an important position called the CDO at the great companies like Apple and Microsoft, and that's the Chief Diversity Officer. Because they realize that a workforce is much more efficient, much more effective, and much more creative if it comes from different parts of the world, different parts of the country, and different backgrounds. So anytime I would be in a capacity where I have the ability to hire people of color, I would be all over it, because I'm very passionate about that, and it makes the whole workforce and the whole county a better place.
Thank you. The next question I have is for the county legislator, and I'll also ask Mr. Kennedy to chime in on that as well. The Suffolk County Red Light Camera Program has been described as a public safety program and/or a money grab. The county's own review states at least 15 intersections have gotten less safe. Additionally, the map of placements of the camera bears out that these cameras are strategically placed in just outside the most economically challenged communities in the county. What do you think of the programs, and how are you personally going to make the program more safe and fair for all residents? So again, we'll start with Mr. Kennedy, and then Ms. Donnelly can pick it up.
Thank you very much. So in the spirit of full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, in 2010, I voted for the first red light camera program when it was first presented. At that time, it was 50 cameras, and we had taping that went on for, about 3 months. And I had an intersection in my legislative district then, right by Vets Highway and Motor Parkway, and we had a fully loaded school bus run a light, we had a cement mixer run a light, and we had a medical gas truck. Now, if anybody knows anything about that, that in a collision is like a missile. That's an explosion waiting to happen. So I supported putting the first program in place. Unfortunately, what we had then, back in 2010, and where we are now, has been a radical, radical shift, and what, in my opinion, was originally a constructive use to enhance public safety really has become nothing but a river of cash. So here's what I'll do when I'm elected. First of all, I'll immediately walk back 25 to 50. I'll put in an independent supervising judge, and I will also look at, and I can't say much more because we're auditing them right now. That's my plan. Where's it going? What I got?
Mr. Donnelly, can you pick it up, please? Thank you.
Just simply, I support the program. It's a public safety initiative. You could put a narrative on it, however you want to put a narrative on it. We did have a study. Some of there's 12 to 15 intersections that warrant further review. That's essentially what the report says. I'm going to say this. You can interpret data any way you want. People are going to use it for a political message. I've been in public safety for 35 years. At the end of the day, the red light program reduces intersection accidents. That's what it does. The study itself uses a lot of different variables that go deeper into the intersection. You could have an intersection a block and a half away, 2 blocks away, that was included in that report. I'm not here to say the program's perfect. John said it best. We have room for improvement. This is not a political issue. It's a public safety issue, and it requires a collaborative effort. For anybody to politicize it is contrary, in my bones, goes against public safety. Thank you.
I voted to support the continuation of the program because I also believe it's a public safety issue and it should not be a political issue. It should be about saving lives. Can the program be better, and should it be better? Absolutely. You know, there should be amnesty for the first time if you get a ticket. There should be a payment plan set up if you can't afford to pay the ticket. There should be a full analysis of where the cameras are, where they shouldn't be. Like I always talk about the one at meat farms on Comac Road. People are not walking there, so if you're making a right on red into meat farms, there really shouldn't be a red light camera there. There shouldn't be a red light camera by the movie theater, by Tanger. I tell my kids, do not go to the movie theater in that direction, because you will end up with a red light ticket, because invariably they're going to be late for the movie and they don't stop long enough, and they make that right, and lo and behold, the Berland family gets another red light envelope. So the program should absolutely be fixed and be upgraded, but the bottom line is public safety. My secretary's husband died in a T-bone crash. You don't want to go there.
Let me be clear about this. The red light camera program is a scam, and with your help, when I get elected, we will work to abolish the program permanently, just as they have done in Rochester, New York, because they found there that it discriminated. Also, what I want to add is that the county spent $250,000 for a report that showed accidents actually increased by 60%. Now, in terms of the locations are chosen by the red light camera company. I have a contract that you could download on my website, redlightscam.com, and what you'll see is it is the current contract, and it shows that no one in the legislature, no one in Suffolk County government is allowed to choose the locations. It's chosen based on traffic and based on the ability to generate a number of tickets. In addition to that, the company has a right to change the locations that are unprofitable, and they don't need to seek the permission of the county. And these are facts I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen. And as far as location, you will not find them in the affluent neighborhoods, and they're disproportionately located in the working class neighborhoods. Thank you.
I'm going to pick up where Hector left off because I think I can finish the sentence for him. The reason why it impacts the underprivileged and more areas more than others is if a guy from Lloyd Harbor, Huntington Bay, or somebody from Diggs Hills, they get a $200 ticket, they write a check, drop it in the mail, and send it off. But if you go out to the court complex and you see who's waiting online there, it is not an even split. It's a disproportionate number of people of color who have to pay those tickets. It's a cash grab, plain and simple, okay? It does not save lives like they say it does. And in fact, all the money doesn't even go to the county. A huge portion of the monitoring fees go out of state. So I implore you, visit Hector's site because he's got some great information on it. So I would not be in support of redoing this, even though we just re-signed it for another 5 years. We tried to fight it, but we'll see what happens the next time around. Thank you.
This next question is for our town council members. The Huntington Resource Opportunity is a boom for the Huntington Center, especially those who have traveling disadvantages. The breakdown of this great resource will have the most negative effect on the community. What will you do to stop the shutdown of the Huntington Resource Center? We can start with Mr. Cook and work our way down.
Yes, I can tell you that the Huntington Resource Center will not be closed down. We're looking to make it better and working to improve it. And that may be a site change, but other than that, we're actually looking to keep it local in Huntington Station and have a number of ideas for it, but it will not be closed down.
Okay, so this one's near and dear to my heart because I am the former Huntington Community Development Agency Director that administered the Resource Center. And it's a wonderful program, but it has one flaw. It's under the auspices of the CDA that does not have the financial resources to sustain it. And I saw this coming years ago, and we have reached a point where we have seen the loss of some important key members there who ran the center. My proposal to save the center is to transfer it into the ownership of the town, where it should remain under our Department of Human Services that has the resources and the personnel to keep it going. We need to also resurrect the Huntington Community Council, the Leadership Council, which are all the ambassadors in the community that got together to discuss the problems, identify the problems, and figure out solutions to the problems. I am extremely excited to do that. We have the Department of Social Services and the Department of Labor there twice a week already, and we need to continue that. Thank you.
I fully support just what Joan said. I understand too that this is a resource that we cannot lose. Bringing it under the auspices of the town, we'll be able to provide it more funding. And when am I elected, I will support Joan in keeping that moving into the town and making sure that it's as important as it is and remains in the town of Huntington. Thanks.
I agree. I believe that it should be left open, and I think when I'm elected, if I'm lucky enough to be elected, I will be a part of keeping that open with the other council people. We need that place open. It's been open since I can remember. I don't believe it should be closed as well. Thank you.
I think you can rest assured none of us are going to close the center. I heard rumors about it, but it's a very well-loved, very well-supported organization. It's been there. It's been a backbone of the community. It was a cornerstone, if you will, in the revitalization effort. So I don't know where this story is coming up. As far as what contracts are signed and where the revenue funds are coming to or going to, I'd have to be in office to actually look at this paperwork. I didn't sign any of that, but I can tell you from a community perspective, it's here to stay.
Thank you. With that being said, that will be the last question of the evening. We are going to ask each candidate to leave a closing statement of 1 minute. Mr. White has the time, and we're doing this so you have the opportunity. First of all, we have to be out of here at 9 o'clock. And if you've been here, they really get us out with it at 9. So we don't want that. And then we want to give you the opportunity to have interactions with the candidates. So we want to try to be fair to everyone. We'll start again with Mr. Kennedy because he, kind of left him out. So we got to give him a little special love.
Thank you so much, and I want to thank the NAACP for hosting us and giving us this opportunity. Like all of the candidates that are up here in front of you, ladies and gentlemen, this really is the most important thing that we, as electeds or candidates, can ever do, is come out, stand before you, give you answers about who we are, where we are, what qualifications we have, why we believe you should vote for us. It's the essence of democracy. I offer to you, I've got the skill, I've got the knowledge, I've got the background, I've got the experience, and I got the focus. And somebody has to step forward, ladies and gentlemen, and save us from what's this precipitous financial collapse that we're facing. In addition, we have an affordable housing issue that we have been woefully inept on when it comes to our county government. And finally, we need to do better for you with the opioid crisis. We have a health department that, in my opinion, has been checked out. I will reinvigorate it. We need to get it more engaged, and we need to be a much better presence here so that we don't wind up having to bury our kids and our grandkids. Vote for me on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, NAACP, for hosting this Meet the Candidates night. I am excited to be the receiver of taxes for Huntington. It is a top fiduciary role in Huntington government. It is critical. As an experienced attorney of 24 years, I have the capacity and the ability to interpret and apply the laws that govern the tax collection process and the distribution, the reporting and the auditing. 2 years I have been there, 2 times I've been audited by the Honorable John Kennedy, who I was very successful with. 2 successful audits, no compromise to the tax warrant. This is not a clerical position. There are the roles and the experience in the town clerk's office is important, but it's record keeping predominantly. This is tremendous. The tax warrant is in excess of $1 billion. Please vote for me.
Well, I stated before, I'd like to thank the board also for having this venue and for allowing us to introduce ourselves to you. So I have 34 years of experience, and it is not a little clerical position sitting in the corner. I have managed records for the town of Huntington for all of those 34 years, started a program from the ground up that is an award-winning, used as a model by the state of New York. I can process tax payments in and get them to the bank faster, and I work under the authority of 20 different laws in the town clerk's office. I am not an attorney, and I am well capable of understanding those laws and applying them to the job that we have to do in the town clerk's office. So the prior receiver of taxes of 30 years was a teacher, and the one before that for 30 years was a homemaker. So it doesn't have a requirement of being an attorney to be able to manage the records and process tax payments more efficiently and reduce the lines. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the NAACP. The position of the town clerk's office is really the purest level of public service. It's not a policy-making position. It's one that performs a fundamentally administrative role. It's vital that the individual holding that position has an extensive background in public service, knows the intricacies of the office, and has a proven record of representing all views fairly and